Alright, I'm hoping that this ball joint here, it's one piece, hoping that it's pressed in and removable and not a whole part of that upper control arm. Otherwise I have to replace the whole control arm. And normally they are pressed in with a ball joint press, and then oftentimes I'll have what's called a snap ring on the bottom to retain them. So my guess is if this is a removable one, it's going to press out through the top and then press the new one down in, and should have a snap ring somewhere in there. And I'll have to look. It doesn't look like there is one, and that's kind of scaring me. This is the replacement part I got, and yes, it came in this awful condition. I was really shocked that Rocket Auto would send me something that looks like it's been used and returned several times. I mean, you can't even see the part number on it. At least for the replacement part, the snap ring is going to fit in that groove there. Obviously, it goes all the way around, and the snap ring plier will spread. You see where those two circles are? They'll fit in there and spread this open so that it can literally snap over. Or if you want to think about it this way, and then spread so it can slide down to the proper place. Okay, with these adapters, I did get it to pop, so we'll see if it was intended to be removed or if I just broke the non-removable piece. But it has popped up. And there we go. So you see these ball joint press tools are pretty flexible. You have to kind of stop and think what you're trying to do and what would be the best way to accomplish it. So like in this case, I got this adapter to slide on there to hold and press on there. And then obviously since we're pressing this way, I'm tightening this bolt down to push this up into it. And then I needed this on the top to press into, as well as this cup to give this room to pop out. So yeah, see, this is all smooth and no ring on it. So we'll see if this one is meant to be pressed into there or not. So to install these, remember that little hole, the mark, don't pay attention to the blue paint. I didn't put that on there, but that hole needs to point straight out as close as possible. And then you want to try to get it seated as flush as you can by hand, because if it's crooked, it'll usually press in crooked, and you'll eventually get it in, but it will be a pain if it's going in crooked. And when you're pressing down, you usually need an adapter that will allow for the bottom to push straight through so that you don't damage it. And again, you just want to make sure that you line it up so that that bottom goes through the bottom of your tool and isn't getting pinched or bent. And I can feel the bottom of the ball joint there. And then once you are certain you got everything lined up, just torque it and periodically check, make sure it's staying lined up, because you don't want to, like for example, you wouldn't want to put an impact wrench on this and go whoop, and then find out that this was not lined up and end up breaking it. Close, but not yet. Say having these ball joint tools, they are never ever the correct size. They're close, but they're never correct. So I'm like, what size are they for? What manufacturer makes them this size? Because these ball joint tools, none of the vehicles I've used them on are they a good fit. They're always a little bit too big or a little bit too small. And after you get your workout in, it should be seated nice and flush like that. And there you go with the tool removed. Alright, I got the snap ring on. Lots of cuss words. Also brought out a small flat screwdriver to kind of help guide it on there. I mean, that was a very, very tight, hard to put on fit. But that piece is now replaced. It probably does start with this one, because this one does put a lot of resistance on you. They want you to just give it a couple ugga-duggas instead of torquing it the way they've got it in here. There we go. And the Moogs do come with a grease fitting, so make sure you thread it on. Pump a little grease out, wipe it off so you have a clean tip. I got this fancy thing that locks on. And then just pump a little bit of grease into the fitting. Kind of feel, when it feels firm, it's full of grease. You don't want to pop the rubber off of there though.